on some great shows, the Mystic Lake Amphitheater, Leonard Skinner and Foreigner, August 16th, Motley Crue, August 21st. You get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Hardcore football.
Personal foul. Clipping.
You lucky suckers.
What up, final hour? It's Norderwin for PA on a Friday. And thank you, whether it's 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line, and Brett Blakemore producing. Just good vibes on a Friday. It's finally, I can go outside without freezing to death. I dig that. But in studio now, warm weather and everybody adding to the good vibes is Alec Lewis of The Athletic, who's here to tell us that everything's falling apart in Eagan. How are you, sir?
Yeah, it's been a wild week of Vikings coverage.
How crazy, because I remember just kind of after the season, and you have to probably go through these mental machinations as well. Like, is there going to be like the people want accountability, non-playoff team.
Sure.
It's cool that they win, the final five to finish with 9-8. Now we're arguing about how that screwed us in the draft position and all of that. But it was kind of thinking, like, what does accountability look like for this situation? And a lot of people have been, critical of Chris Cooper, the O-line coach. His contract's not renewed. But throughout this time, since they walked into the building, people have been critical, and it's been eyes on Kwesi. And so if it was going to happen, I mean, I don't know if you played this game mentally. It's like, if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen this week. But then it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
And then next week, you know what I mean, from a timing standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, the season ended, and then, the Wednesday of that week, the noise was very loud from pretty much everybody I talked to of this could happen, this is a possibility, we're watching this. So this is like inside baseball, but like I was waking up at 5:30 a.m. every day wondering if I was going to get a text or call about this news. Like my alarm was set and I usually am not a wake up early type of person.
That's how locked in you are. Anything you could think about, you're waking up in cold sweat going, it's today the day.
Well, no, I mean, it's you get up and you're like, how can I prepare for if this happens today? And how can I be ready for if this happens today? Then we got through that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that first week. And then it turns over and you're wondering, is something going to happen that early the next week? And then Kwesi Adofo-Mensah had the press conference, and Kevin O'Connell had his end of season press conference. And once that happened, you felt, at least I felt like, okay, maybe, he'll get another season specific to Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. And so, Friday morning last week when this happened, I was on the phone with an hour, with somebody inside the building talking about everything that just happened, the entire season, decision making, all that. Then I get off the phone, I'm putting chicken salad on top of a salad. I'm just getting ready to start my day, and then my phone starts overheating, and it was over.
Wow.
The weekend was over from there. But yeah.
So how have you, and I can read your reporting. Those listening to the Fan, they can go to The Athletic. There's probably some code popping around. You walk around, there's like codes falling out of your pocket here for subscriptions. But they can read kind of the process of just picking apart all the details.
Yeah.
But have you landed on, I guess, of all the things, it's, was there tension or not tension? They got along, they didn't get along. How responsible is this guy? If we're putting a pie chart of collaborators together, this is how much of the pie chart that Kwesi owns, et cetera. How much has gone into kind of, in some ways we could have expected it in the world of, again, accountability for drafts and those sorts of things. But how much have you gone down that road in terms of, trying to, okay, so this is different, this is new, but these are all the same. Like where have you gone? Where has that taken you in terms of trying to sum up how different things are moving forward simply by removing Kwesi?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I would say, and the easiest way to summarize it, you know how people oftentimes like, has that coach lost the locker room?
Yeah.
With Kwesi, in the end, to summarize it, just the building was not rowing aggressively, passionately in the direction behind him.
Should have had PJ go over there.
And yeah, I didn't even mean to do that, but Sky Umal. But like that was more than anything else why this move had to be made at this time. As far as, you know, you could talk about the draft stuff. You could talk about the quarterback in the spring of 25. You could talk about the internal dynamics between him and coaching. You could, I mean, all of that stuff plays a role in it, but just to summarize it, so much of what that job is can you get people to buy in and feel strongly about the decisions that are made? And obviously over the course of 4 years, and especially in the accounting of those 4 years, they didn't get to that point. As far as moving forward, I mean, this is Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores. You are the lead evaluators working with the scouting staff to supplement kind of your evaluation. And then Rob Brzezinski, his job will be to get everybody on the same page to feel good about the decisions that are made. And there will be no bigger decision than what happens at quarterback, which, right. I mean, I've been watching film a guy. I mean, this is a tough one.
You love watching film, though.
I mean, yeah.
There's part of you got, you know, I don't want to
bags under my eyes.
I don't want to speak for you. This is not a judgmental thing, but I'm going to say you got some nerd to you in terms of a genuine enjoyment to dig in and watch film. I think that's a good thing.
Did you feel bad? I mean, yeah. Look at me. I'm wearing glasses. I'm losing hair one day at a time. I'm as nerdy as it gets. I'm sitting there watching Davis Mills film against the Los Angeles Rams. It's just like, what are we doing?
That's a bit much.
I'm just saying.
That's a bit much.
The other night, 10:30 p.m., it's Kyler film, Geno film. How do they look paired together? But that's, I mean, this is what the people internally are going to be doing, so why would I not?
I don't want to watch any Kyler film, personally.
It's more, it pops a little more than you might think. And I'm not saying that should be what they do, because Lord have mercy, I wrote that this week and there was a large response to that. But what I would pose to you and everybody, Brett, everybody listening.
Watch the film?
Well, no.
He's a talented player. I know that.
No, what I would pose is, okay, so who do you want?
Yeah. No, this is an awful spot, so in talking with Charge last hour about this, kind of, you know, for me, and this is really hung in my brain over the course of the week, is that Kwesi's gone, and you mentioned, you know, decision-making power or evaluation responsibility, KO and B-Flow are gonna carry a lot of the weight of that burden. Okay, so what's actually different? Again, and I hate to drill it into this pie chart, it's just an awful analogy, but outside of Kwesi being gone, effectively everything is the same. And so without being in there, I can't know. I don't know in terms of, you know, Kwesi not making decisions in a vacuum. Like, I feel like that's accurate. I feel like, and you can take me deep if I'm wrong, but it's the idea of, well, KO had a say in the quarterback spot a year ago. He probably had a say in it 2 years ago.
Not probably.
Okay. So that is the same. And Brian Flores, his ability to identify talent, like, hey, you know, this cat, he's probably going to be a day 3 and might not even get drafted. This undersized linebacker from Cincinnati. Hey, there's this super raw, uber talented cat down in Tuscaloosa. Take a peek at him potentially. Those sorts of things. I think those conversations take place. And that's the good part of collaboration, is you do get those multi-views. The bad part of collaboration is it turns into like 8 people at the Spider-Man meme trying to shed responsibility. And so it's kind of like, you know, okay, Kwesi's gone, but what actually is different? And that's just kind of stuck with me.
No, I mean, I think that's a very fair question. More than anything, what I would imagine becomes different is when they make their final call on free agents, on the draft. You would like to expect that previously when they walk out of that room after making that call, it's like a little tentative. Is that exactly what we wanted? Who pushed that over the line? Now it's like we're walking out of the room. The cameras that they show in the draft room, everybody clapping hands. That's less a show, and it's more like we actually feel like what we just did is the right and we were all in agreement on that. Like that would be what in my opinion probably feels most different. So I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it, because specific to the quarterback stuff from the spring of 25, I think there's been, in the aftermath of Kwesi being fired, it's like, well, yeah, he messed up all the quarterback stuff. Like let's take a step back. So the head coach, who is dubbed the quarterback whisperer, all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, just bring me a quarterback and we'll see what happens. No, like that's not how that works at all, remotely close to how it works. So I would just say that in the end, when these decisions are made over the next 2 months, that are massive decisions for this organization, I would expect the feeling of everybody to be like, I know why we made that decision. I know who pushed for this decision, and I feel good about this decision, which does not mean that they're all going to work. Like, let's be very clear.
I'm really glad that you put it that way. I didn't think about maybe, among the chaos of, quote, collaboration, again, which there are good and bad elements to it, the consensus. And I love the camera in those rooms. You can't tell me that there aren't massive performative elements to many aspects of our lives. But it's not like, in 1995 when they didn't have cameras in the room, that people are jumping on tables and bear hugging each other when they get the third round draft pick. That's not happening. It's probably there somewhere it's, and cut, we're out, and everyone's like, all right, I guess that's the way we're going then. But the consensus element of it potentially could have led to where we're at, and a lack of, I could say.
I mean, no, it absolutely did. I mean, we wrote this, but essentially some of the dynamics in relationship is like probably close to irreparable and hard to just move forward with. That's a problem. That's how it is. And let me be clear. Like, you can have great personal relationships with people, and that can be the circumstance, but that doesn't mean you can't get to a place where professionally it's just like, is this the optimal path and approach moving forward? So, I mean, again, I am very intrigued and very fascinated to see the plan that they now have. I mean, the crazy thing about this is the combine's in 17 days. So you have, and you gotta, I mean, that is where, even though the legal tampering period or whatever you want to call it, like, agents meet with teams at the combine, and that sets the table for free agency.
I love the combine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a love-hate for me, because I mean, my liver gets real tough after 4 days of drinking at 3 a.m. That's where you have the best conversations, though. No, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, you go to Prime at 3 a.m. and you don't know who's going to be there and what they're going to be talking about. But the point is, you now have 17 days until this combine starts, where you have to be pretty buttoned up internally among Rob, Kevin, Flores, the scouting staff, of these are the players we're going to target. These are the players we're interested in. And then specifically at quarterback, like, you can't misevaluate, you can't misrepresent the idea that certain guys might be willing to sign versus others, because that's what happened last spring, and that's part of the reason this season went the way it did.
That's Alec Lewis of The Athletic in studio at Alec_Lewis via X. When we return, I do have a couple questions. I'm excited for Brzezinski, but this path forward, as Alec has laid out, is quite murky and intriguing as we get into this offseason combine, just more than 2 weeks away. It's Nordo for PA. Brett's got a cash giveaway opportunity.
That's right. The Fan wants to give away bonus bucks for the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword this hour is check. The keyword check. KFAN.com. Keyword check. More Alec Lewis now. If you want to chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows, you can. You can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. So let us know what you have to say by texting your message at 64686. That's 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Hardcore football.
Personal foul. Clipping.
Couple segments to go, a couple shorties here with Alec Lewis of The Athletic. Alec, with Rob Brzezinski coming in now, first of all, and we've talked about this all week, Rob's a person that I can't speak to knowing intimately, but I've had many interactions with him over the last 12 or 13 years here at the Fan, and whether it was Winter Park in Eden Prairie, or now, of course, the big building down in Eagan. Always a ton of respect for Rob. Really illuminating conversations with him, and he's always taken the time kind of to explain through things. And it's not like he's sharing deep, dark company secrets, but still kind of getting a peek into the inner workings of what makes his job so fascinating in this juggernaut that is the NFL. So tons of respect for him. Super excited for what's ahead for him. How difficult is this spot for him, though? Because whether it's, can you take the governor off? And I said this earlier, like, if Joe Burrow became available, can he leverage the next 3 years of draft capital? Are there limitations? And of course, the Wilfs will be involved in any of these conversations. But in the end, he has to navigate through $50 million in cap issues just to get head above water and stop drowning. And he has to ace the draft. And then in the end, this is all part of a potential future relationship with the new GM, who in some ways has to own a lot of what was done before he got there. It's just very murky waters for Brzezinski. So I'm simultaneously really pumped for him as a human, and I know a very, very qualified, intelligent guy. But also, man, he's walking in with his back against the wall in some ways.
Yeah, two separate things. One, I've had an agent that I've talked to for years now, has said to me the two people in that Vikings building who deserve the Super Bowl as much as the fans are Harrison Smith and Rob Brzezinski for what they've given to that organization. So like that, to me, and this is someone who has they have no ties of reason to say that. It's like that speaks to the amount of effort, time, allocation Rob has given to this organization. He's been here since 1999. I was 2 years old. It's absurd to think about how much and how long he's done this here. Wow. The other thing I would say is in the immediate aftermath of Kwesi being let go and the announcement that Rob would be taking over, a lot of people in the league were like, really? So like you're going to wait to hire a GM potentially after making arguably like the most pivotal organizational decisions that you're going to make in years when you're talking the quarterback conversation and then 9 picks with a bunch of them in the top 100. And then the accountability, if you bring in a new GM, is not on them for that decision. So that is a very weird dynamic that people in the league brought up and definitely like raised their eyebrows at. I think for Rob specifically, the first thing I'd want to know is like, does he want to be the GM?
Right.
Because it does come with a level of front-facing nature, of accountability, that sometimes, some people strive to find the power, and some people just don't care for it as much.
He's been known as the money maestro for a quarter century. He hasn't had to get on at the podium and explain certain things to the good or the bad. And he's very well celebrated being that guy behind the scenes.
Exactly. And he's worked for this team for 2 decades. There's a level of security with that often doesn't come with the general manager role. But what I would say this is, going back to my first point, this is a guy, having done this for as long as he has here, who wants to see this team get to the same place that all the fans want to see them get to.
Yeah.
And at this point, if he feels like me being able to develop a consensus is the best way for us to get to that point, like I could see him being willing to, put whatever security aside and just be like, I want to go for this and try to get us to a place that we've always wanted to get to. And the argument from people, I think I've seen a lot already, is like, well, he's not an evaluator. He's a former attorney. Part of it is, when you're making this move, you're lifting the responsibility of evaluation on the coaching staff.
Right.
And that's responsibility that they have had and that they want. Yeah. And so
it's not as if Kwesi was a deep down all-time evaluator.
Of course. And there is I do know this, there is a healthy level of respect from the coaching staff, from the personnel department already existing in Rob. And so like it's going to be interesting to see over the next 3 months what decisions are made and then where does that leave things moving forward. And I just would say that the respect level and trust level from everybody in the building, essentially in Rob at this point, makes it easy to understand why ownership would be like, can you shepherd this and get the train on the tracks, and then we'll evaluate from there.
Well, I still really like that consensus angle that you brought up last segment. I mean, that's kind of hitting me hard right now in terms of even at a level where we are potentially relying on coaching staff instead of scouting, maybe that frames up a little bit differently moving forward. But in the end, if you have everybody in a line saying this absolutely makes the most sense and everyone's kind of hand in hand in that, I think that means a lot. And
it's like any business, regardless of whether you're listening to this and you work for an accounting firm or UPS or whatever, like you want, when you join the company call or when you have a company-wide meeting, you want to sit there and have a lot of confidence in the person talking at the front of the room that they know what they're doing and what they're talking about and they're in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And that's every business, and that's definitely football. And there are staffers who sniff stuff out pretty quickly if you're not all those things. And I think to a man internally and woman internally, people would believe that Rob would be able to stand up in front of people and that they can buy into what he's saying. And that's critical, especially now given where things are.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment to note that when any of our bigwigs in our building are having a company call, I have immense confidence and respect for what they're putting out there. And I'm ready to run through a wall right now for any of them. I love all of you.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not leaking to the media privately because no.
Well, that does happen though, doesn't it?
Seems to happen. Yeah,
that's weird. It's a crazy. I just whatever happens this spring, and then we'll pause one more time.
Sure.
Whatever happens this spring, we can't even tell you whether that's successful or not. I mean, there's some instant gratification. There's some things functionally, I think, specifically during free agency, where you can say, we found the right puzzle piece. But specifically with the draft, which has been the crux of this thing, that's a downstream thing, man. That's a year from now,
at least.
Where we're at least, and that is, and again, you have a guy supposedly, kind of a short term thing. They brought in Matt Thomas, which I'm kind of excited to learn more about, by the way. Because he was John Schneider's right-hand man for a decade. And John Schneider, what he's doing in Seattle is unbelievable. So hopefully he caught some of that magic. But this is kind of a downstream long-term thing where we can't evaluate a short period of time for a long period of time.
Well, that's why it's funny because it's like, these decisions are going to be critical over the next 4 months. But when can you ever just... when you sign Ryan Kelly, Jonathan Allen, and Will Fries, and you get an A+ grade for that, but that doesn't at the time, but then you have to watch the season to realize it's not an A+ grade, it's a C grade. I mean, that's so, I think the way that ownership and the way I expect ownership to evaluate it will be by May 1st, when all of these decisions are made. How does everybody feel about the process of making these decisions? And if you feel good about that, I think that's where then you feel okay with how this process went.
Yeah, if I was to put again, big moves, I just use Joe Burrow as like kind of a sky high lofty. I'm sure you've heard of it, but you know what I mean in terms of making big decisions. Let's start with this mandate. Any free agent picked up in the mid-March has to have played 14 or more games the previous season. Can we start with something like that?
So you do like the 10 commandments of free agent signings.
Yes.
All right. Next. Don't sign 32 years old plus. No, yeah. I mean, but here's the thing.
One or fewer concussions.
But here's the thing. You can say Kwesi Adofo-Mensah contractually was responsible for signing these players. Yeah. But to remove the idea that coaching didn't have an influence on all those signings, I think it would not be correct. And so that's what makes everything murky to play revisionist history with.
No, I'm glad you put it that way. We're going to pause. It's Alec Lewis. One more segment with him on the other side, and we'll just kind of shoot the bleep. We got a Super Bowl on Sunday. It's the QB we wanted in the draft, apparently, versus the guy we had and let leave. Final segment, 9 to noon, is next. Big thanks, Chad Greenway, Hugh Millen, Seahawks analyst for KJR Radio, Paul Charchian, and of course, Alec Lewis of The Athletic in studio now for joining the Friday Feast. Super Bowl Sunday. Our favorite team's not in it. Seahawks favored 4.5, 5-ish is what I've seen over the last few days over the New England Patriots.
Who do you think's going to win?
I think it's the Seahawks. If I was to pick, I think the Seahawks cover. I just the overall roster is better. I think defensively, what they can do to confuse. This is by far the toughest matchup that Drake May has faced, and just kind of the combined poise. Is the kid going to be poised? I don't want to underwrite what Vrabel and Josh McDaniels have done to put that thing together, but you think about the rookies on the offensive line. You think about the kid QB. And just, I think from an experience factor, you can say from a coaching standpoint, it's there. But I just love how everything's built with the Seahawks. I have the Seahawks winning.
I just wonder what my reaction would have been if at joint practices you said that the Patriots are going to be in the Super Bowl. Like I would have laughed just out loud.
No, it's crazy after watching those joints, right? And Drake May just a guy, right? I mean, in some ways it was like, okay, I mean, nothing spectacular. The arm talents, it appears to be for real, no doubt about it. But still, just talent-wise, like, how is Vrabel going to make that thing competitive? And we spent a lot of time talking about it that week. And now here they are. I mean, we've gotten a lot of the answers.
It's crazy. Garrett Bradbury, starting center in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I remember leading up to joint practices, you said, man, I'm looking forward to seeing Garrett Bradbury. That's right. Little did you know. I do remember you said that. We were in the studio.
Yeah, it'll be cool to catch up with Garrett.
And I was like, what? But I mean, he's a Super Bowl not winning, maybe winning.
But he's going to one.
Super Bowl starting center.
Yeah, and Vrabel, by all accounts, it's like they have a right to go into this game and fluster Darnold. Now, the Seahawks, one thing that was a common thread all season is, they're winning these games and fantastic team, but they're giving the ball away a lot.
Yeah.
Well, now that's the thing they're not doing. They're not even turning the ball over anymore. And so it is like they're as well-oiled as it gets at this stage. From an injury standpoint, it seems like most are going in other than that little ankle bit by Eamon Worry, but he's going to be healthy.
They're just so balanced in it's on both sides. Defensively, they stop the run with not heavy boxes, and their secondary flies with the football. Offensively, early in the season, it was explosive passing game. Defenses shifted to too high, so they started to run the ball well, and now defenses have come up, and so they're throwing the ball down the field again. It's just a really well-built, well-constructed operation, and it's...
I just think it's going to look similar to, in some ways, what the NFC title game. I think Sam's going to have to be...
Yeah.
He's going to have to be super productive, explosive through the air. We were talking about it with Charts. The defensive front for New England is going to give Ken Walker fits all day.
I love Milton Williams. I mean, that guy is so good.
Yeah, and as Church said, nobody was really paying attention to him during free agency. Yeah, I mean, he was like $100 million.
No, that's not true.
Everybody was.
The Panthers, I think, were willing to pay him like 30. I think he got $32 million. It was like, and you're like, for Milton Williams? I know he was good in the Super Bowl, but yeah, that defense, it should be fascinating. If Sam does what he does, what he did in the NFC Championship again, I mean, more power to him.
They're hoisting a trophy. Thanks for all your reporting. Thanks for hanging out today, man.
Always fun.
The Alec Lewis podcast. I know new episodes popping up. You just did something with Johnny K. Is that right, too?
Yeah, we did a little Vikings update crossover. So, yeah, a lot going on.
Oh, that's terrific.
Try to get some. It is the off season, right?
I guess, sort of, kind of.
It's no off-season
There is
this
no
league.
off-season. I'm going to go put my 30-year-old No Fear shirt on, and we'll go from there. That's Alec Lewis, Brett Blakemore producing. Thank you to Brett, and thank you for listening to A Friday Feast. It's The Fan. The Grum is next. Have an awesome weekend and enjoy the game.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.